I'm sure we're all very familiar with the feeling we get when we're on the hunt, on the lookout for a specific figure, and the pegs are just empty. There's nothing more defeating, right? But man, how great is it when you turn the corner of the toy aisle and you see exactly what you're looking for hanging from the pegs. It's pretty exciting. It's an experience I've had since I was a kid, and recently, with some of these store exclusive items, I've felt those same woes and same excitements. I went to like 7 different Targets until I found the bare-bloodied feral predator figure, and recently I was on the lookout for the Walmart exclusive Sega figures by Jakks Pacific. When these were first announced, I thought to myself, how cool is it that they are bringing back some characters of yesteryear? I mean, you've got the werewolf from Altered Beast, you got Axel, who's gotten a little bit more love recently with the Street Fighter IV release a few years ago, and of course, Ai, the monkey from Super Monkey Ball. I think I'm pronouncing that right. But I was really excited when they announced these, but the whole thing of it was, they were Walmart exclusives, and these days, man, figures just fly off the shelf. Or at least, where I live, they do. And at first, I didn't have much luck finding these, but I did luck out, and a Walmart, not far from where I work, actually, had these. And they only had one Axel, a couple werewolves, and a bunch of Ai's from Super Monkey Ball. So I was glad I could get all 3 at once and not have to hunt much further or pay the unfortunate resale price that some of these things go for. And I kind of thought they would fly off the shelves because it's just really neat that they're hearkening back to some of these games and showing them love in action figure form. Here at 2-Day Rentals, I'm a huge fan of collecting movie merchandise, video games, video game tie-in merchandise, and boy, these will go great on my video game collectible shelf. I may have to make some more room, and maybe one day I'll do a video covering some of my favorite video game collectibles I have on display, but I did want to talk about these, talk about what I think about them, and also discuss some figures I would like to see them do if they find success in these, and maybe do some future releases. And I have to say, I'm a huge fan of Sega, and one day I plan on doing a video of sort of my journey through video games, where it started for me, and sort of a mini retrospective over my experience with video games growing up. And just a brief little synopsis, the Sega Genesis was the first system that I owned myself. Our Nintendo Entertainment System was a shared thing, it was actually my brother's, and he kind of handed it down to me. But the Sega Genesis, I gotta say, is probably where I fell in love with video games, because that system was mine all to itself, and I got to explore the catalog on my own freely without being, oh hey, I want to buy this game or I want to rent this game. No, the Sega was all to itself, and I carried that love on over, much later on, getting the Dreamcast when it came out. I didn't get one at launch, I was distracted by other systems, but the Sega Genesis did me well, and so there's a lot of love for the Sega for me, and so I was really happy that Sega's getting love by Jakks Pacific in figure form, in merchandise form. Before we open these up, I did want to talk about the packaging on them. I thought they did a great job. I mean, on the top, you have the classic logos from each game, the amazing artwork that dawns the side of the package on the left-hand side, and in the background, behind the figure, you see that graph paper sort of design, and that really harkens back to the Sega Master System days, which was another system I didn't own as a kid, but I got much later. But the boxes, the game carts would come in these boxes that had that sort of graph paper square design on them, and I thought it was a neat little attention to detail that Jakks Pacific did. So really awesome job on these, and I think if you're a collector of Sega things, you're probably going to want to get your hands on these. So let's open up these bad boys and take a look at them. First one we're going to open up is Ai from Super Monkey Ball. And, this figure actually surprised me the most of all of them, and I'll tell you why here in a second. But it comes with a little banana and the ball that you actually play the game in, you roll around in to try to complete the maze or puzzle. And the mechanic, though I will say neat, I think it doesn't quite execute as well as it should. So it has this stand that it comes on with these little ball bearings, and I think the purpose is you're supposed to be able to roll it around, and Ai is supposed to stand up straight while the ball sort of rolls around the ball bearings of the stand. It doesn't quite work that well, but still a really cute little figure. I still really like it a lot. I was first introduced to Monkey Ball by a friend of mine while we were off at college. We both had GameCubes. I gravitated towards Rogue Squadron and Eternal Darkness. He picked this game up and I was like, what is going on? But boy, were we hooked. And if you've never played it, I highly recommend it. It's come out on multiple platforms, I believe. I think it was even an arcade game at once. But it's a great party game. Lots of fun. Simple in its premise, but complex to master. I love games like that. And neat that there's a figure for it. They may have done some little figures before, I don't really know. It may not have been my first choice for a Sega figure, but I'm actually really impressed by it, and I'm glad to have it in my collection. Streets of Rage and Streets of Rage 2 are so damn good. There's just so much great things to say about it. They set the standard for me kind of for beat 'em ups, and they're games I could play forever. If I made a list, and one day I plan on doing a video like desert island games that you would take with you, that you could continuously play forever, I think Streets of Rage 2 may be on that list. Look, it's a beat 'em up, arcade style beat 'em up, easy to play, hard to master, especially at higher difficulty levels. The music is killer. I could go on and on, but anyway, this is the first figure I saw announced for this Sega franchise line by Jakks Pacific, and what I like about it, it's old school Axel. It says Streets of Rage. I think it's more Streets of Rage 2 because he has the flaming uppercut fireball that he comes with. That's not something that happened until Streets of Rage 2. His special move in the first one was the police car that launched the bazooka, but this figure's great, and I have the Storm Collectibles Axel from Streets of Rage 4. A fantastic figure, highly detailed, highly articulated, comes with a ton of accessories, and this version, it's got great articulation. It's a great sculpt, and it scales fairly well with other figures. I tried putting a RoboCop figure up next to it because the RoboCop baddies kind of look like some of the bad guys in Streets of Rage. He's not quite to scale. He scales all right with like a Toy Biz figure, but I think I'll find some other figures to maybe scale with him, or maybe if they release other figures down the line, that would be great. Some other characters from the game, maybe some bad guys, some baddies, but really awesome to have an old school Axel figure because I just have so much love for that game. And you know, Streets of Rage went on to sort of be the engine for all these homebrew beat 'em ups. If you've ever heard of the open bore, open Beats of Rage kind of platform, people have gone on to do some pretty neat stuff with that. So really cool to have Axel. I like that he comes with the flaming uppercuts. He looks great with my new Axel figure, though much smaller, but really great figure. Hats off to Jakks Pacific on doing this, and hope to see more figures from Streets of Rage at this scale that are released by Jakks Pacific.
Welcome to your doom.
Altered Beast, boy, a game that I have a love-hate relationship with. I enjoy the game. I enjoy the setting. It's this medieval fantasy. You've got Animorphs, but my first experience was in the arcade. It kicked my ass, and I played it at home on the Sega. It did the same thing. I still enjoy to fire it up from time to time. I was super excited to get a figure for it, even though the figure is a bit milquetoast, right? It's a werewolf figure. It could be from any werewolf movie or any comic or anything like that, but it's not. It's the Altered Beast werewolf, and it's a fun figure, probably maybe the least exciting of all of them because it, like I said, it just looks like a werewolf, but I like that it comes with the spirit ball. We all know the spirit ball, right? And I think that they did a really good job with this figure. Good sculpt, good articulation. I kind of wish it maybe came with the lightning accessory that you use in the game as the werewolf. And it scales obviously perfect with the Axel figure. They're both winners in my opinion, and a fun figure. And I really do hope that maybe they do more from Altered Beast, maybe some of the other creatures, or maybe just the standard figure that you start off with, to have both, you know, showing that transformation. But it's neat, man, and it's just neat that they're showing love to a game like Altered Beast. I think that these days it may be one that if you're new to gaming or if you're a bit younger, you may not remember, may not know about, but it's a special place in my memory because I played it in the arcade and it just kicked my ass. And it was brought home to the Sega Genesis in pretty good fashion. So props to Jakks Pacific for diving a bit deeper, in my opinion, and giving us the werewolf from Altered Beast. I would really like to see Jakks Pacific do more of these. If they do, number one on my list is eSWAT. I love that game. It means a whole hell of a lot to me. It was bought for me by my parents as a surprise. You know, they got it at Sears for like on sale, and I fell in love with the game. And to continue to still play it this day, great music, great game. I would also love to see maybe Opa Opa, the ship from Fantasy Zone. I think that they've done figures of that before, but they're hard to find and they're kind of expensive. Harrier from Space Harrier. Oh man, Alien Syndrome, Alien Soldier. Heck, give me a Hornet from Daytona 500, the jet from Afterburner, maybe a car from Outrun with the driver and passenger in it. You know, you could do a lot with the Sega franchises, and maybe we'll get some of that stuff. That would be really neat. I enjoyed talking about these. I think they're really, really cool. I hope you can get your hands on them. I think they're going to be kind of tricky to find. Maybe not, but you know, at least where I'm at, stuff just flies off the shelf, and so I was glad I could nab them before I inevitably would have probably paid a bit more than asking price because I really wanted these in my collection. Tell me, are there any video games that you specifically collect for? I did a Castlevania video where I talked about a whole shelf dedicated to that, so go check that out. If it's your first time here, I really appreciate you stopping by. If you like what you see, share it with your friends. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit the notification button, and that way you can stay up to date with everything I do here. Try to do 1, 2 videos, maybe more a month. But if it has to do with movie merchandise, video game merchandise, action figures, movie talk, video game talk, even some music from time to time, it'll probably end up here on my channel. And it's like I always say at the end of my videos, let's be kind as we rewind and fast forward through time. Thank you so much for stopping by.